Hello everyone, it's Becca from BEKAHBOOKSANDBUJO, and in today's video I will be reading like a diamond. Now you may be asking, Becca, what do you mean reading like a diamond? Well, back in July, Chloe from Always Booked and I hosted a readathon called Deck of TBRathon. During the month of July, we let a deck of cards dictate what we read for the month. We would draw a card, that number on the card would correspond to a prompt, and we had to read for either 1, 3, or 5 points. There were different teams for this readathon, and it was a competitive readathon. The hearts, diamonds, clubs, and spades teams were battling against each other, trying to get more points than the other teams. We said that whichever team won got to decide a fun video for Chloe and I to do in August. So this is for the Diamonds team. The Diamonds team won Deck of TBRathon in July 2026, and so they decided that they wanted us to read like them. We gave each of these suits in a deck of cards kind of a personality, and they definitely didn't encompass every single characteristic of a person. However, we said that a diamond is very glamorous. They are elegant and mature, they're poised, and when a diamond tends to read, they often pick up new releases. They want the new and shiny book. So in this video, I will be reading like a diamond, which means I will be reading new releases for the most part. So let's just get started. My first book for this diamond vlog, and probably my newest release that I own, is Everything Was Beautiful and Nothing Hurt by Ben Reeves. This was my most recent book of the month club pick from July 2026. So indeed, yes, it's a very new release. I normally don't get to these books right away, so I'm glad that this video is pushing me to read my new releases. I appreciate that. And I'm already like more than halfway through. Sorry it took me so long to come and update you, but it took me a little bit to get into it because we are following this man named Travis who is death. He is death, like a modern day version of death, basically. He lives in an apartment and he travels all around and attends the deaths of everyone. He doesn't cause the death. He doesn't do anything to make the death happen. He can't do anything about it. He's just there to witness it, which is kind of sad because a lot of the first few chapters are Travis going to various situations where the person will die. And it's weird because at the end of people's lives, they seem to know who Travis is. They say like, okay, you're here for me now, let's do this. Or they say, I don't want you here yet, can't you change your mind? And he says to them, this isn't up to me, I'm just here. So I was already crying on page 26 of this book because of one of the deaths. It was very, very difficult to read as a mom, especially. And I think mostly why I haven't come on to talk to you is there wasn't really a plot until about halfway through where Travis makes friends with his neighbors across the street or across the hall. They live in an apartment building. Ooh, that was a very creepy close of the book. Across the hall is Nadia and her 2 daughters, Neda, who is like 1-year-old, so very close to Sylvia is how I picture her, and oh my gosh, why can't I think of her name? Layla. Layla is 8. And Layla sees Travis one day in the hall and wants to hang out with him. I don't know why she's drawn to him, but she wants him to come over, wants him to come to her birthday party, wants him to eat at their house a bunch. And at first Travis is like, no, I don't really get to know people. Oh, hey, Bunny. Just the way he is lonely. He doesn't want to form attachments because he basically can read people's futures. He knows what they're thinking. It's a very odd existence as death. So at first when Layla invites him to her birthday party, he says, no, I'm not going to hang out with you. But then one night, I think the mom, and now I can't think of her name again, Dahlia, needs some extra help, and he goes over and helps her, and they just like form this friendship, quasi relationship thing. And he starts to really feel comfortable with this little family. He almost thinks like, what if I could have this? What if I could form relationships with people instead of just watching people die? So then he is starting to go to events with them, starting to go over for dinner more often, making relationships with these little girls, which is very sweet to see. He is a great like father figure, oddly enough. He's depicted as like a mid-30s gentleman, but I think he is immortal. I think he's been alive for forever. I don't know. It's a little unknown, I guess. And then halfway through, something terribly tragic happens that kind of messes up the relationship between Travis and this new little family that he has found. I've cried at least 3 times, could be more. There's like parts, like I would say this whole middle part where there was this very difficult issue between Travis and Nadia that, or no, not Nadia, Dahlia, sorry, the mom, between Travis and the mom, that I just kind of had tears constantly in my eyes. Because it's just really, really difficult. I mean, Travis is death, so you can maybe come to some assumptions. I'm not going to say anything, but woofda. It was really, really tough. And then we're just dealing with the aftermath of that difficult situation, and it depicts grief, what I think of grief, as really, really well. I mean, I haven't grieved someone maybe as much as someone in this novel has, or I haven't grieved someone as close to me as someone in this novel has, but I can feel it. It just is heavy and weighs on you, and nothing matters anymore to this person who is grieving. And oh my goodness, it's very, very tough and sad. So like I said, I'm already, I don't know, probably 2/3 to page 190, and it's really good. As far as a new release, I don't know if I've read anything much like it. I've read books with the perspective of death as the main character. The Book Thief is one that I can think of for sure. But that was like in a very particular part of history, whereas this is just like everyday life. I think it's in New York or Boston or some city, and it's just, I don't know, very humbling, I guess, to attend people's deaths. What are their last thoughts? What do they wish to do on their last day? What are the things that take people down? Life is so fragile, is what I've learned from this book, and you really don't know when your time is going to end and who's going to be around you. Are you going to be alone? Are you going to be surrounded by family? What is going to happen in that instance? And it just makes me reevaluate, I guess, like how I live my day-to-day life. Like, yeah, I know people say live like it's your last day, but honestly, you don't know. You don't know. And yeah, I don't know. It's hard to put it into words, I guess. It's humbling and sad, but also beautiful for some people. Like this cover says, the title says, everything was beautiful and nothing hurt. For some people, death is beautiful. It's an escape from the thing that is hurting them, which is a very different viewpoint on death. For some people, it's great. For some people, it's the worst day of their life and just keeps moving. Like, time keeps moving. Anyway, I'm feeling morbid for this first book of the vlog, but I'm very curious how it's going to wrap up, because right now we're just kind of in the sad. We're in the aftermath of this death and this grief, and I don't really know what's going to happen. It doesn't feel like it's going to wrap up in a bow, and so I'm very curious. I'll let you know if it's a good ending, or what I think of as a good ending for what this book is. Do you hear my kids? Can you close that door? I'm talking too much, obviously. So I will talk to you once I've finished this one up. I just finished this one up, and ooh, it's a doozy, friends. I had tears in my eyes probably throughout the last half of this book. It is just really hard hitting, and I think a very good look at death and what death does to the people around you, the grief that people hold in their hearts forever after losing someone. And I feel like the ending was really well done. I I guess I don't know what I hoped. I know we had talked about the ending before, and it's like, it shouldn't be this cookie cutter, cute, happy ending. And there was a little bit of that, but I think it was done in a very tasteful way. The one thing at the end, which after reading it, I do appreciate, I don't think it's a like spoiler or anything. The last chapter is called A 20-Minute Gift. And basically it's the author writing to us, or maybe even Travis as Death. He's writing to us, imagine for one moment that you're in the future, your future. These are your last moments before death. You're in your own bed, surrounded by flowers and cards and people that you love. And there in the corner of the room, like a shadow, is where you finally meet me. So that's Travis. And then he says, now imagine I give you a final gift. You're allowed to go back just for 20 minutes. You're allowed to go back to the exact moment where you're reading these words. You're back. Here you are. This is your 20-minute gift. Do not waste it. You can't change your life in 20 minutes, so don't try. No, do the thing that you'll wish you had done on your deathbed. And so I think that's like the overall message. And like I was talking about earlier, life is fragile. We don't know when our time is going to be. And so take 20 minutes now to hug your children or your loved ones, your parents, your spouse. Take those 20 minutes to do something that will bring you joy and love in your heart, so that when you are on your deathbed, you know that you did that. Which is like, yes, a little cheesy, because everybody tells you that. Life is short. Live in the moment. Live like it's your last day. But it's reality. Like, everybody on this earth is going to die. Everybody goes through it. Everybody deals with someone dying in their life at some point. It's a universal. So it's, I don't know, I think it's a beautiful thing to read about, which is weird, but I like reading about death. There you go. Yeah, I don't know. I am waffling between a 4 and a 5 star. I feel like some of the book was definitely 5-star vibes. Some of it was more like, there were these little vignettes, almost interludes, I would say, where it like talks about a meadow and the bugs in the meadow. And it's like, where is this relating? But I think it's like taking you away from the death. I don't know. Those parts were a little confusing, but I didn't not like them. So I don't know, 4 or 5. We'll see how I end up feeling at the end of the month. Right now, it feels like it's a book that's going to stick with me for sure. So that leans toward a 5-star book for me. But because I cried for most of this book, I want a book that's not going to make me cry. I was thinking about reading this one, The Burning Side by Sarah Damoff, but I think this one will make me cry. And so I was looking at my book of the months. This was a May release, so I felt like that was a new enough release. And the one that was really calling to me, because I thought it would be more of like a thriller feel, is, I have to grab it, this one, which I know it might not be as like heart-wrenching as Everything Was Beautiful and Nothing Hurt, but I think it will hit me in a different way. Sorry, my voice like gave out, because this is about motherhood. And I'm a mom. I have 3 little ones, and I know the struggles of motherhood. I know the joys of motherhood. And so while this is like a thriller because a woman disappears on her baby, like her baby is, I don't know how it works. Yeah, Lucy Mendoza vanishes, leaving her baby behind in a grocery store parking lot. But I think it'll be thrillery enough to figure out, like, was she taken? Did she choose this on her own? But we'll still have some deep enough topics that we can discuss throughout. So I'm gonna get started on listening to Her One Regret by Donna Freitas. So I'm just a couple chapters into Her One Regret, and I wanted to come on and talk to you before I forget too much, because a lot is going through my brain already. This so far is about 2 moms. Our first mom that we're introduced to is Lucy, and she is in a parking lot putting groceries in the back of the van. She is kind of talking to her, I would say like 6-month-old Emma, saying like, look at us, we got this. I'm getting groceries, I'm doing better, you're doing better, we're doing okay. And then she, in order to get all of her groceries in, she needs to set her daughter back into the cart. She puts her in the cart, she puts her last bag of groceries in the car, and she says, "I love you," to her daughter. It jumps ahead to, I don't know how many minutes, but people are surrounding Emma in the grocery cart, and Lucy, the mom, is nowhere to be found. One of her friends walks up, tries to call Lucy, but the phone is underneath the car. The back end, the trunk, is still open with all the groceries. And again, Emma, this little baby, is by herself. The friend is trying to get a hold of Lucy's husband and trying to figure out what happened, but that's the first chapter, and it's kind of like, whoa, okay. Lucy must be going through some things, saying to herself, like, I can do this, I can be your mom, and then all of a sudden she disappears. The police who have showed up seem to think that she was taken, but maybe it's something different. The next chapter, we're following a young mother named Julia, and she is regretting becoming a mom. She never really wanted to have children, but her husband did. And so she decided to have one child with her husband, and I guess he had promised her the moon and the stars by giving him this one child. His name is Theo. I know that because we have a Theo. Anyway, he's 9 months old, and we visit Julia one evening. It's late, it's like 9 p.m., and Theo is screaming. Somebody knocks on their door. It's their neighbor from across the street, and she's like, "I just wanted to check on you. I heard screaming. The house was completely dark. I wanted to make sure you were okay." Julia fakes her way through it, saying that they're sleep training, when instead she just is feeling so down. She isn't able to do her job like she wants to now that she is a mom. She is breastfeeding, and she feels like her body is not her own. I think she's going through some postpartum depression, but also, like, she didn't want this child, and she's forced to take care of the child because her husband is he's up for tenure at his job. So when he gets home really late from work, she lays it all out. She said, "You need to help more. I'm feeling like I can't do anything for my job, and you're getting to do everything. I'm having to..." Hello, Mabel. She's chiming in. "I'm giving up my entire life for this baby when I thought we were going to do this together, XYZ. Then her husband sees a box of formula on the counter, and he freaks out at her. He's like, "I thought we decided you were breastfeeding Theo until he was a year. It's the best for him, yada yada." She's like, "This is my body. I'm deciding I can't do this anymore. I have gotten no sleep. I am sick and sore and all of these things." And she's also resenting her husband because he is able to go to work all day, every day. Yeah, Mabel. Did she take her shoes off? And now she's eating her feet. Oh man, the joys of motherhood. But also the woes of motherhood for this poor Julia. Anyway, she is really mad at her husband, and he said, "I think maybe you should get some help." She doesn't think she needs help because she doesn't think it's postpartum. She thinks it's just lack of love for this child and for this new life that she has as a mom. So this one is going to be hard. Not that I thought it was going to be totally sunshine and daisies, but we're going to struggle with some topics of motherhood that I have personally had to go through with, especially this last year. I became a stay-at-home mom this past year, and hi, Mabel. It is a different life. I didn't 20 minutes, honey. You cannot unbuckle. This is motherhood at its finest. Anyway, it's really hard being a stay-at-home mom. I didn't think it would be this difficult, but it is. You're never alone, and I can relate with Julia in that aspect because she is feeling like she always has to take care of her baby, and even if her husband is around, her husband feels like she does it better. which I hold no resentment to Willie. He is like the best dad, and he has helped me through a lot of tough times as a mom. But there are some moments where I am angry with him because he stays a little extra late at work, or he is able to be away from children for 8 hours a day, our children at least. He's a teacher, so he's with kids. That's a different ballgame. But there are just some moments where I question our life's decisions. Like right now when my child is screaming at me. Anyway, I feel like I am going to really sit with this book, and it's going to make me reflect a lot on my motherhood journey too. So let's just keep reading, because if we're only 2 chapters in and I already have this many thoughts, we're going to have a lot to talk about. So let's keep going. I'm now to part 2 in Her One Regret, and a lot has happened since we last chatted. We were introduced to 2 new perspectives. Michelle is the friend that Lucy had, and she just happened to be at the grocery store when Lucy disappeared. She helped the police get in touch with Lucy's husband. She knew Emma, but we get her perspective. She is a mom of 2, and she loves being a mom. She has always dreamed of being a mom. That is her life goal, basically, to be a mother. And so she's living her dream. She befriended Lucy, I don't know how many years ago, but went through pregnancy with Lucy, and now is friends with Lucy, but Lucy has disappeared. And there is a comment that Lucy made a few weeks ago that Michelle is struggling with. She is wondering if she should tell the police or tell her husband about this comment that Lucy made. And basically Lucy told Michelle, I regret having my daughter, hence her one regret. It's Lucy's one regret, having a baby. So we're following Michelle's perspective as she struggles with this, who to tell, what to tell, but also very nervous for her friend. She doesn't know if she was taken. There's that little itch in her brain. Is that the right? No, there's a little idea in her brain that maybe she wasn't taken and maybe she did escape this life, again, because of that regret that she had. But she's mostly just nervous. And she said, my friend would have reached out to me if she ran away. And so something is wrong here. The other perspective we're getting is Diana, and she is a retired investigator or a retired police officer, but she is called by someone who still works in the system and is told about this disappearance because Diana focused when she was working on missing women. And so she got called in, went to the scene, is trying to figure out what happened to Lucy and if it was related to a missing persons case a couple of years ago where a mom disappeared. So we're getting Diana's perspective. They seem to think, or everyone has come to the conclusion that Lucy left of her own accord, and all of them are grappling with if that's the case or not, how someone could do that to their child and their husband, how a mother could possibly not want motherhood. So, do you need more water? My baby is eating breakfast. Anyway, I am so curious to see what happens next in part 2, and we'll just keep reading. I just wrapped up Her One Regret, and the second part was a lot more fast-paced and more thriller, I would say, whereas the first part was contemporary, dealing with motherhood. The second part was, like I said, more thriller because we are in the throes of trying to find Lucy, who is the mom that got either taken or left. And Diana, the investigator, well, she's retired now, she is diving into more of Lucy's disappearance, but also reckoning back, that's not the right word, remembering back to a disappearance that's very similar to Lucy's disappearance that happened about 3 years ago, and noticing similarities and kind of following that path to see where Lucy could be. So, yeah, this one was good. I was definitely enraptured by the story. I don't know if that's the right word, but I was like very, very intrigued by what was happening with these moms. I feel like each of them was experiencing just the very difficult times that motherhood brings, while some were loving it. Like Michelle, one of the leads that we follow, she loved motherhood and she said that is what she lived for. She loved it. But even then, she still had difficult times, and she could understand why her friend was feeling that way. The one thing I think this book brought to light, is that mothers have a wide range of emotions, and recently it has been okay for motherhood to share, or for mothers to share, that they have postpartum depression, that they are sad, that they are happy, that they are joyous, that they are sorrowful. But the one word that women, and especially mothers, cannot say about motherhood is regret. That's taboo, not allowed to say it. But Michelle, along with this influencer that she was interviewed by, make it more okay. They just are bringing it to the surface so that more moms can talk about that word. It just seems like a mother, because they are the one carrying the baby, they are not ever allowed to regret that decision, or just like think back to what life was like before being a mom, and how some things about pre-motherhood life are better than post-motherhood life. And it's different. And I appreciated the discourse on that, because everybody just assumes that all moms want to be moms, and that's not the case. So this one ended in a good spot. I feel like we resolved all of the issues. We know what happened to Lucy. I'm not going to tell you what happened to Lucy, but I was happy with the way it resolved. And it really wasn't what I was expecting. It was a very fun, like, not necessarily super fast-paced thriller, but definitely wanting to know what was going on with it. So now that we have finished 2 semi-new releases, I realized that this one came out last November, so it was released in the last year. For me, that's like a new release, I guess. Now that we finished 2 newer releases, I am wanting to switch gears a little bit and read like a diamond in a different way. So I recently got the Illuminate versions of the Bridgerton books. If you didn't know, I love Bridgerton right now. I am just all things Bridgerton, watching the show, reading the books. And when I saw the cover of this book, I could not read it for the Diamond vlog. We are going to pick up It's in His Kiss, which is book 7 in the Bridgerton series. But look at the diamonds. It's perfect. I know it's not the suit of a diamond, but it is real diamonds and other jewels and stuff. So I figured I had to pick this one up. And I know it's not a new release, but I am reading like a diamond because there's diamonds all over the cover of this book. What I know is this is Hyacinth's story. Hyacinth is the last Bridgerton child. The Bridgertons are named A through H. They're named alphabetically. And I'm a little bit nervous going into this because Hyacinth I have known as the little sister. She is kind of always in the background wanting to hear about the gossip, but she's much younger than her older siblings. And I'm kind of thinking of her as a younger sibling too, because I have loved the older sibling stories. Now getting into Hyacinth's story, I don't know if I want to see her falling in love because I feel her as the little sister. Anyway, I think it'll be fine. I don't know much about her romance, but I mean, I'm assuming there will be romance. So let's just get started with this last diamond book. Hey everyone, we are in the process of shampooing all of our carpets, but I also got halfway through It's in His Kiss, and so I needed to stop and update you because that's all I'm doing while I vacuum or shampoo, whatever. It's this machine. I don't know if you can see it out there. Nope, you can't, but it's a really awesome machine my sister's lending me. Anyway, I needed to stop so that I could update you on It's in His Kiss before I basically finish the book. So this is Hyacinth's story, which is the youngest Bridgerton baby and girl. She's 8 out of 8. The Bridgertons go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H in alphabetical order, which is hilarious. And She's the youngest, but we're getting her story 7th because usually women marry before men, at least age-wise, in the early 1800s. So Hyacinth is, I think, 22 years old, and her mom is really wanting her to make a love match. Hyacinth is very outspoken, loves to be her own person, and speaks her mind, which I think has been not so great in the past for courting a man because she tells it like it is. However, she has gotten 6 wedding proposals or marriage proposals in the past 3 seasons, and she has said no to all of them. They just haven't met her expectations. She really wants to meet her match so that they can have intellectual conversations and have a good time together. So now it's her 3rd season out, and she has made the acquaintance of Gareth. Gareth St. Michael, Gareth St. George, I don't know. His name is Gareth, and he was the 2nd son of an earl, I believe, but his older brother died, and so now he is going to take on the earldom. He's taking on the title, but he was never expected to, and so his mother, or his dad, just wanted him to marry for a dowry to kind of save their financial situation. The dad got them in lots of debt, and Gareth refused basically to do what his father wanted because his father has never been kind to him. He always favored his older brother. There are reasons for that, but I don't want to say to give too much away. So Gareth now is kind of this rake. He sleeps around, he has mistresses, but he's also Danbury's grandson, and Lady Danbury, is doing her matchmaking magic again with Lady Bridgerton, with Violet, and they are trying to set up Gareth and Hyacinth. They get at each other, Gareth and Hyacinth. They bicker, they banter, and they're starting to enjoy it. They're starting to have this friendship, but Hyacinth thinks she should never go for him because he's a rake, he's too experienced, she doesn't know anything, and so she doesn't think Gareth would go for him. Gareth doesn't think he deserves her, basically, but they are forced together when Gareth's other grandmother's diary comes to light. He didn't know that her diary was around, but she was Italian, and so it's written in Italian. Gareth once was visiting his grandmother, Lady Danbury, asking if she knew anybody who spoke Italian, and Hyacinth happened to be there, and of course she speaks Italian, or speaks enough and can read enough to understand the diary. So it's now Hyacinth's job to translate the diary for Gareth, and there's this fun treasure hunt of sorts that they have to go on. Has to do with the diamonds on the cover of the book. So they are getting into a little bit of mischief together, and feelings are starting to happen. And I don't know, I love it so much. I think that they write, or Julia Quinn writes so well. Hi, Bonnie. She writes so well for this era, this 18th or 19th century. And I don't know, they just have such fun, witty banter between each other, and it's so fun to listen to. So I'm gonna get back to shampooing and listening to more of It's in His Kiss. I finished up It's in His Kiss, and I ended up really liking it. I think I'm gonna give it 4 stars. I, again, have said this over and over again, but I just love the Bridgerton books. I love Julia Quinn writing in this 19th century world, and Hyacinth and Gareth's story was really fun. I feel like they became friends first before any romance ensued, and I feel like that really worked for them. There was a very interesting conflict going on between Gareth and his father, which he kind of kept secret from Hyacinth at first, but then all was revealed at the end, and it was good. I think it happened in a way that was good for their relationship, even though it maybe was a trial for them. So I was going to conclude the Diamond vlog with this beautiful diamond book, but I started listening to a new book that I am buddy reading kind of with my sister and my cousin. And I realized this is a very new release, and I'm probably gonna finish it quickly, so I thought we might as well include it in this new release vlog. So I just started this story Might Save Your Life. And I don't even know who it's by. Can I look on my watch? Because I was listening to it. I don't know if Libby... Ooh. Is there such a thing? Help me out. I don't know what it's called or who the author is, but here's the picture. You can see who the author is. And this is a thriller. Why I think I will read it really quickly, because thrillers just like go super fast for me because I want to know what's going on. This is about Joy and Benny, who are best friends. They have a podcast together, and that is their jobs. They have been best friends for like 10 plus years, but they were married to different people. Even though they feel like they were each other's soulmates, they fell in love with other people. And so that's that. Their podcast is called This Story Might Save Your Life because they look up crazy survival stories, and then Benny shares the story with Joy. And then Joy has to try to decide how she would survive in that case. And then he tells her how that person actually survived in the real survival story. Sounds like a fun podcast. I would listen to something like that. Then one day something goes weird. Benny is secretly meeting with Joy. And then the next day she has disappeared. She and her husband Xander have disappeared. There's like broken glass, a window, things are in disarray in their house. And so they think something has gone amiss. After that first encounter of them being gone, we're learning a few more things that are going on between Joy and Xander's relationship that could be a little disconcerting. And basically Benny is just trying to figure out what happened. We are learning from a few different perspectives what's happening. So Joy and Benny must have been writing a memoir together, because we are reading their memoir from Joy's perspective. And that's like the start of Benny and Joy's relationship. And then we also get a little bit of their podcast every once in a while, where Benny is trying to like search for clues as to where Joy could have gone or if there was anything amiss. And then we're getting present day Benny with his sister and his ex-wife as they're trying to figure out where Joy has gone. The other thing we know, something happened in August. I'm not sure what timeline this is, if it's spring. Actually, it's June, because they talked about the Santa Ana winds, I think, in June. Anyway, so something happened in August that's scary. We don't know what it is, but it caused some turmoil between the friends, the spouses, I don't know. And then we also know that Joy had a stalker. So the investigators are putting all of this together, trying to figure out what happened, because their podcast is huge. They get like 35 million downloads a month. They are famous, basically. And so could have been a stalker taking them. They could have disappeared for some reason or another. I don't know. It's been fun to listen to so far, and I will let you know once I read more. I quickly finished this story, Might Save Your Life by Tiffany Crum. I finally figured out who the author is, Tiffany Crum, and I liked it. It was very thrilling and fun, fast-paced. It kept me guessing, and I truly didn't know what happened to Joy and to her husband Xander, and what information was given that we could trust versus what we couldn't. And yeah, it was really, really fun. I do feel like it kind of fit an algorithm though of sorts, or like A plus B equals C. Like it was a pretty standard thriller, I feel. And for that reason, I'm going to give it 3.5, I think, just because, I don't know. I think once we got to a certain point, we're like, oh, okay, I see where this is going, what truly happened. And then after that fact, which maybe happened around the 2/3 point, it was like just explaining what we already knew. And that I don't love. I love it when like the climax of a thriller is at the very, very end. At least that's how I like my thrillers. So out of the 4 we read for the Diamond vlog, I think we did really quite well on enjoyment levels, at least. I think my favorite was Everything Was Beautiful and Nothing Hurt by Ben Reeves. This one was a 5-star. I did come to the decision that it was going to be 5 stars just because of how much it has made me think and reflect after reading it. Then we got 2 4 stars. I think both of these were 4 stars. Really a great thriller, and then a fun penultimate installment of the Bridgerton books. And lastly, the This Story May Save Your Life, or Might Save Your Life. That title is really confusing to me. I can never quite get it right. Anyway, that one was good too. 3.5, still enjoyable, even though it wasn't like 4 or 5 stars. But I was really happy with this. I think this tells me that I should probably read my new releases more often and like more immediately after I get them, because I often enjoy them and it's fun to add to the discourse that's going on around these books because people are reading them right as they come out. So let me know if you have read any of these diamond books, these new releases, and let me know your thoughts. Did you agree with me? Did you not? As always, it would be great to have some discussion with you down below in the comments. And if you've made it this far and don't know what to comment, put a diamond in the comments so that I know that you were here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye.